Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, ISKCON BBT founder Acharya His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Yamuna Mai Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurani Pachayani Vishesha Sambhadi Paschita Deshatayani. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, The First Step in God Realization, Text 25.
Let's just pause there, see if everybody
Okay.
can hear. Mother Shri, can you hear? And people online?
Thank you.
And maybe do a thumbs up because we have the microphone hooked up. So, Mother Vinjavali, thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
And here,
Okay, not head nod.
Okay.
little bit up.
We'll go by that then. Andakoshe Sharire Smin Saptavarana Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yosao Bhagavan Dharanashraya Andekoshe Sharire Smin Saptavarana Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yosao Bhagavan Dharanashraya Andakoshe Sharire Smin Saptavarana Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yosao Bhagavan Dharanashraya. Everyone chant.
Andakoshe Shariyesmin
Andakoshe Sharire Smin
Saptavarna Samyute
Saptavarana Samyute
Vairaja Purusho Yosho
Vairaja Purusho Yosao
Bhagavan Dharanashraya.
Bhagavan Dharanashraya. Andakoshe Sharire Smin Saptavarana Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yosao Bhagavan Dharanashraya. Vandakoshe Sharire Smin Saptavarana Samyute Vairaja Purusho Yosao Bhagavan Dharanashraya. Word for word translation. Andakoshe, within the universal shell. Sharire, in the body of. Asmin, this. Sapta, sevenfold. Avarana, coverings. Samyute, having so done. Vairaja, the gigantic universal. Purusha, form of the Lord. Ya, that. Asau, he. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Dharana, conception. Ashraya, object of. Translation. The gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virat conception. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Simultaneously, the Lord has multifarious other forms, and all of them are identical with the original fountainhead form of the Lord Sri Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it has been proven that the original transcendental and eternal form of the Lord is Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead. But by his inconceivable internal potency, Atma Maya, he can expand himself by multifarious forms and incarnations simultaneously without being diminished in his full potency. He is complete, and although innumerable complete forms emanate from him, he is still complete without any loss. That is his spiritual or internal potency. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, manifested his Virat Rupa just to convince the less intelligent class of men who cannot conceive of the Lord as appearing just like a human being, that he factually has the potency of his claim to be the supreme absolute person without any rival or superior. Materialistic men can think, although very imperfectly, of the huge universal space, comprehending an innumerable number of planets as big as the sun. They can see only the circular sky overhead without any information that this universe, as well as many other hundreds of thousands of universes, are each covered by sevenfold material coverings of water, fire, air, sky, ego, noumenon, and material nature, just like a huge football, pumped and covered, floating on the water of the causal ocean, wherein the Lord is lying as Mahavishnu. All the universes in seed are emanating from the breathing of the Mahavishnu, who is but part of a partial expansion of the Lord, and all the universes presided over by the Brahmas vanish when the Mahavishnu withdraws his great breath. In this way, the material worlds are being created and vanished by the supreme will of the Lord. The poor foolish materialist can just imagine how ignorantly he puts forward an insignificant creature to become his rival incarnation, simply on the allegations of a dying man. The Virat Rupa was particularly exhibited by the Lord just to give lessons to such foolish men, so that one can accept a person as the incarnation of Godhead only if such a person is able to exhibit such a Virat Rupa as Lord Krishna did. The materialistic person may concentrate his mind upon the Virat or gigantic form of the Lord in his own interest, and as recommended by Shukadeva Goswami. But he must be on his guard not to be misled by pretenders who claim to be the identical person as Lord Krishna, but are not able to act like him or exhibit the Virat Rupa, comprehending the whole of the universe. Andakoshe sarire smin sapta varna samyute vairaja pusho yosau bhagavan dharanashraya. the gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject for the Virat conception. Nama Om Vishnu Vidaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. This is a fascinating section of the Bhagavatam, how Shukadeva Goswami is introducing devotional service, but doing it to some degree through the paradigm of the Ashtanga Yoga system. It's a very interesting technique. And as we'll examine in another minute or so, we'll see how he really takes a left turn off the yoga path and introduces a novel to the yoga system, not novel to devotees, but introduces a novel point. This verse is answering Parikshit Maharaj's question from a couple of shlokas ago, since Shukadeva is discussing about in terms of the Ashtanga Yoga system. Parikshit says in text 22, O Brahmana, please describe in full detail how and where the mind has to be applied and how the conception can be fixed so that the dirty things in a person's mind can be removed. So specifically, the Sanskrit is Dharana Yatra Samatad. So Dharana is the limb of the yoga system, Dharana, fixing the mind. So Parikshit is asking, so what is the means, the methodology of this process of dharana in the yoga system, and what is the objective of it? What is it that we're supposed to turn our mind to? And this dharana in particular of the 8 limbs of the yoga system are important, because dharana is where the yoga system turns from being more or less mechanical and more or less preparatory, setting the stage and purifying the self for what the actual process of the yoga system is. And that actual process is described in the last 3 limbs of the yoga system, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Before that, yam and niyam, the asanas, the breathing exercises, withdrawing the mind from the senses, giving up sense gratification. All of this is preparatory. It's indirectly related to the goal of the yoga system, which is actually fixing the mind. Fixing the mind, dharana, then intensely meditating on that object upon which the mind is fixed, and samadhi, being completely, fully absorbed in that object of meditation. So this is why dharana is important. It's the beginning of this positive stage of the yoga system. So when Parikshit Maharaj asks, what is the object of dharana? In the classical yoga system, the object of dharana is that after you purify your body, you purify your mind, you purify your activities, you withdraw from sense gratification. Then the general process in the yoga system is you turn the mind inwards and you focus on the Lord in the heart. And you fix the mind and you meditate and you attain samadhi by seeing the Lord in the heart. But Shukadeva Goswami is not a slave to the yoga system. So what he says instead of fixing the mind on the Lord in the heart, he says you fix the mind on the Virat Rupa. So why does he do this? I can't see into Shukadeva Goswami's mind, but some reasons appear. A person, first of all, right off from the start, 99.9% of people who claim to be practitioners of yoga are just nonsense. 99.9%. They're not doing the yam and niyam. They're not controlling the mind. They're not withdrawing from sense gratification. So what are they going to do when they try to fix the mind? What are they going to obtain? But even an actual practitioner, if such a creature exists, if you turn the mind inward and you focus on the Lord in the heart, and you look inside your own heart and you see the Supreme actually come to the point that you see, can perceive to some degree the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there's a sort of, obvious mistake that can be made. If you're looking within your heart and you see someone, something there, you're thinking, oh, in my heart, that's me. So the yogi very often, again, 99.9%, you could barely even call them yogis, but even amongst actual practitioners of yoga, this mistake is so common that they come to the impersonal conclusion. They look within the heart, they see God, and they think, oh, that's me, I'm God. So this is the impersonal conception. So Shukadeva Goswami is kind of short-circuiting this normal process of yoga in order to avoid this pitfall. Don't focus the mind on the Lord in heart. Look all around you. The word all around you is a manifestation of the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because, of course, his goal is not yoga. His goal is not even samadhi. His goal is devotional service. So fixing the mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality. This is his goal in the first step in God realization, to establish this, that Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the object of meditation. Also because he's explaining gradually, so he's starting with this yoga system idea and then turning to the Virat Purusha. The first step is to understand that God is a person. And for those who are atheists, for those who are overly materialistic, this is difficult, so this is a way to introduce to them that God is a person. This entire universe is the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question. What is the object of dharana? What do we fix our mind upon? The Supreme Personality of Godhead as the embodiment of the entire material energy. And what is this material energy? So vast, ande koshe sarire smin, that there's a universal shell. And that entire universe and the shell all around it, sharire smin, this is like the body of the universe. And saptavarana samyute, it has 7 coverings. Here, there's different lists in the Bhagavatam. It also describes this. Prabhupada uses some interesting language that I'm not 100% sure I understand. Where is that? Water, fire, air, sky, ego, noumenon, and material nature. I think noumenon in this context, he's referring to the Mahatattva, the sort of unmanifested, undifferentiated totality of the material energy, judging by comparing it to other such lists. But in any case, we're living in this universe, in the space, the Brahmanda, the space within this egg of Brahma in the universe. And like Prabhupada said, what do we know? We look up and we see the circle of the sky above us, and however many miles, light years, whatever we can see in the distance, that's what we can see. And that space is so amazingly gigantic and huge to us. But that space also has a shell: water, fire, sky, noumenon, the material energy. And the first layer around it of water is 10 times larger than this space that we're living within. In other words, the entire universe that we can see, including what we cannot see, but the space within it, with the stars and galaxies and planets and all of this going on. And around that, there's this next layer, 10 times thicker than the thickness of that space that we're all living within. And then outside that layer, there's another layer 10 times thicker than that. And another layer 10 times thicker than that. To understand the scale of what we're talking about, if we imagine the universe shrunk down so that the space inside all of these universal shells, if we shrink it to the size of a ping pong ball, and then we have a space 10 times, a layer 10 times thicker, and then 10 times thicker than that, which means 100 times thicker, and the next one 10 times thicker, which means 1,000, 10,000. If you would have the space in the universe as big as a ping pong ball, the outer edge of that seventh layer would, heading in a northeast direction, would stretch up to the border of Massachusetts. So imagine we're inside this ping pong ball and the shell stretches out to Massachusetts or heading south down to Virginia. This is the kind of scale we're talking about of the universal creation. And all of this is contained within the body of the Lord, of the Virat Rupa. So just imagine this, like we know Lord Vamandev. He appeared as a dwarf and he took his two giant steps. With one step, he covered all the way down, and one step he covered all the way up. But not just within this universe, this space within, because he cracked the shell of the universe so that the waters of the causal ocean could come down and wash his lotus feet and come down as the Ganges water. So even in Vamandev's step, it's inconceivable that he extended a step within this space, this hollow, but even beyond that, that he cracked all these shells. So this is a kind of huge scale we're talking about. Saptavarana Samyute Vairaja, that these 7 coverings of the universe are there. And Andakosha Sarire Smin, that this is the body of the universe. And beyond that, more than that, it's the body of the Lord. Because the Virat Rupa doesn't mean that, how would I say, if you took the entire universe and put it like on a balance scale, like that, the entire universe, the space within and the planets and galaxies and dark matter and whatever imaginative ideas there are, and all of those shells, and you put the Virat Rupa on the other side, it wouldn't exactly balance, because the Virat Rupa is not simply the summation of all the material energy. We discussed in yesterday's class a little bit, it was brought up. Let me see, I'll quickly find that line from yesterday's purport. Maybe I'll find it. Maybe I can't find it, but Prabhupada explains there's a difference between the entire material energy and the Virat Rupa of the Lord. It's not just that he's the summation of material energy. This is the philosophy known as pantheism, that the sum total of material energy is the full conception of God. So this is not actually our philosophy, and this is not what the Virat Rupa is. The Virat Rupa is that and more. This is a philosophy, next step of philosophy, known as panentheism, which means that there's the sum total of material energy, in which God is present, but he has a transcendental existence beyond that. So this is the understanding. Therefore, we talk about the body of the Virat Rupa. And there's these ways of thinking about it, that the mountains are the stacks of his bones and the rivers are his veins and all of that. This was discussed in some earlier verses. But the whole point is there. What Shukadeva Goswami is trying to do is to establish in the mind of the neophyte, yogi and materialist, and also in the neophyte devotees like myself, to help us understand, make us understand that the Lord is a person and he's present within every atom and within every atom and between every atom within this creation. He's the Lord's body, that's the Lord's body, but he's also transcendental and exists beyond that. He has his own transcendental existence. So therefore we understand what this universe is. We try to understand a little bit what this universe is, just like we're hearing about these different shells of the universe, to give us some understanding. And we understand that Krishna is present within this universe, and it's present within him, and it's a manifestation of his energy. And this is Bhagavan Dharayashreya. This is the Virat Rupa is Bhagavan. It's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada takes the beginning of the purport to establish this, that the Lord has multifarious forms and all of them are identical. with the original fountainhead form of the Lord Sri Krishna. The universal form, the Virat Rupa, it's from one angle of the vision, it's composed of matter and it's temporary, but still there's no shortage of Krishna's ability to invest any and all of his potency in all of his incarnations, including the Virat Rupa. Therefore, it's Bhagavan. The Virat Rupa is also Bhagavan. Bhagavan Darayashraya. This is also interesting. Bhagavan Daraya. Daraya is like from this word dharana, the object of our meditation, the object of turning our mind in the yoga system, is the Virat Rupa, which is Bhagavan, and he's Ashraya. He's the shelter of everything. We know this word Ashraya, shelter of everything. And this is Krishna, the abode and the shelter of everything. He's Ashraya. We're going to hear, coming up in a few chapters in the second canto, we're going to hear about the 10 topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Atra Sargo Visargas Cha, Stanam Poshanam, I can't remember the rest, but the 10 topics, there's the creation, where everything, all the universes are coming out of the body of Mahavishnu during his mystic slumber, because he's the best yogi. So he's in his samadhi. He's in his samadhi of yoga nidra, and all of the universes are coming out. This is Sarga, topic 1. Next is Visarga. Brahma comes out from within the universe. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is there, and Lord Brahma comes out from his navel. And then from that, all the particular creations within the universe go on. All of the elements, all of the species, all the living beings are going on. That's Visarga, the secondary creation, and then maintaining the universe and protecting the devotees, and the Manvantaras, the laws of Manu and the pastimes of the devotees, and the destruction of the universe and liberation. And the final topic of the 10 topics is Ashraya, because Krishna is the Ashraya, the shelter of it all. And sometimes these are compared or linked with the 10 cantos of the Bhagavatam, analyzing these 10 topics. And Bhagavatam describes, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes also in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when discussing this, that all of the other 9 topics, the creation, the subcreation, the manus, all of this, are just to bring us to the point to understand and to establish Krishna as Ashraya. So this is the same thing here. The Bhagavatam is 10 cantos. We know that the first 2 cantos are likened to the Lord's lotus feet. So the second canto is like that. We're at the Lord's lotus feet. We're still working our way up in the body of the Lord, figuratively speaking, and in our understanding of the Lord and appreciation. So therefore, Shukadev Goswami is using this, this mode of analysis here, and this suggesting the Virat Rupa as an early form of meditation to establish an understanding of the Lord. But we understand, but this is the point, that all of these things are pointing towards Krishna. Bhagavan Darayashraya, meditation on Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the shelter of everything. This has to be the point of it all. And this is why Shukadev is discussing as he does. In the preface, excuse me. In the preface of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada writes, Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. It is a bona fide commentary on the Vedanta Sutra by the same author, Srila Vyasadeva, and gradually it develops into 9 cantos up to the highest state of God realization. The only qualification one needs to study this great book of transcendental knowledge is to proceed step by step, cautiously, and not jump forward haphazardly as with an ordinary book. So this is very interesting. Prabhupada would very often, he would talk about this, that go verse by verse, chapter by chapter, canto by canto. And he said, if you read them in order, first canto, 9 canto, that by the time you reach the 10th canto, you'll be a self-realized soul. So this is the gradual process he describes. Again, from that preface, Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the definition of the ultimate source. So this Virat Rupa is part of that definition, the beginning of the definition, not the complete definition, but the introductory definition, that this whole material energy is nothing but a manifestation of the existence of the Lord, of the body of the Lord. Beginning of the definition of that ultimate source, that Ashraya. Gradually it develops into 9 cantos up to the highest state of God realization. So this is also interesting, the highest state of God realization. What does that mean? Different ways this can be analyzed. Let's look at it, the highest state of God realization, in terms of those famous shlokas in the 11th canto. What is the highest state of God realization? Who is the Bhagavatottama, the Mahabhagavat? Sarva bhuteshu ya pashed, Bhagavad bhavam atmana, Bhutani bhagavat atman yesha bhagavatottama. The Mahabhagavat, or as Prabhupada says, the highest state of God realization is what? Sarva bhuteshu ya pashed, Bhagavad bhavam atmana. He sees everything, the entire universe, the entire creation, the material elements, and all the living entities within it are manifestations of the existence of Krishna. Bhutani bhagavat yatmani esha bhagavatottama. This understanding that everything is the energy and the manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is Bhagavatottama, the topmost devotee, the highest state of God realization. Or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I don't remember the Bengali, but in explaining this verse, he says that the topmost devotee, he sees the world around him, but he doesn't exactly see it. What he sees everywhere he looks is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his Ishtadeva, his chosen Lord, Sri Krishna. So he looks around, a pure devotee looks around, he sees everything. A pure devotee, when he's walking in a room, he doesn't walk into the wall because he doesn't see it. He's seeing it, but he's not exactly seeing it like we do. He's actually seeing everywhere he looks, he's seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the highest stage of God realization, to see Krishna everywhere. And what's the lowest stage for lowest stage of a devotee realization? That's also described in that same section. Archayam eva hareye, pujamya shradeye hate, natad bhakteshu chanyeshu, sabhakta prakrita smrita. Bhakta prakrita literally means a materialistic devotee. So a materialistic devotee, Archayam eva hareye, he's worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Archayam, the Archamurti, in the temple. He's worshiping the form of the Lord in the temple. Pujam ya shradeye hate, and he's even doing it with great faith. But he doesn't understand how Krishna exists everywhere. He doesn't understand Krishna's manifestation within this world, within everything. He doesn't understand the devotees as representatives of Krishna. And in that, his commentary on that verse, Srila Madhvacharya specifically says that this person, he sees Krishna in the temple, but he doesn't understand that Krishna is to be seen everywhere. So the highest stage is seeing Krishna everywhere. The lowest stage is you see Krishna in the temple, but outside of that, you don't see. You're looking at the deity and you turn your head away, 90 degrees up, you don't see Krishna anymore. So this is the duality of these two different stages. So just like the deity, of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says when he was telling the pastime of, I think it was Sakshi Gopal, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My Lord, you are not a statue. You are directly the son of the king of Vraja, Nanda Maharaj." So the deity is directly Krishna in a very special and very unique way. But there's a neophyte vision or materialistic vision. Oh, here's a, what's that? Arche Vishnu Shiladir, that the hellish mentality is, oh, the deity is stone or marble or brass or paint. So from one point of vision, that's it. But we understand that this is Krishna mercifully coming in a specific form to give us an opportunity to worship him. And the universal form has shares some degree of similarity with that it's a form that's apparently material, the material universe, the entire material creation. But Krishna mercifully comes and he manifests himself in his full existence throughout this material energy so that he can be seen. So Shukadeva Goswami says, you meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead as this Virat Rupa. Let's see. So this is some of what Srila Shukadeva Goswami is trying to do. He's trying to introduce this, to bring one first of all to the Prakrita Bhakta, that to see, okay, the deity is Krishna, let me serve the deity. And by doing that, you'll become purified. And if you're going to the temple to serve the deity, you'll also perhaps get to hear some katha in the temple, and you'll start to understand philosophically that the deity is not just a lump of stone, not just a statue, but you'll gradually understand how Krishna is present as the deity form. And similarly, with the Virat Rupa, it's an entry stage, it's a beginning stage. Again, Prabhupada said in yesterday's purport that it's a challenge to the atheists and a favor to the demons, to the asuras, that he comes in this form to understand that God is a person and this entire material creation is his body. And the yogi who follows not necessarily also the traditional yoga system if done correctly, but specifically as taught by Shukadeva Goswami, will come to the point of understanding that, seeing Krishna everywhere. In the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, describing the yoga system, this is described in text 29. Krishna says that the perfect yogi who's done the process and controlled his mind and senses, fixed his mind in meditation, he can see Krishna everywhere. And then next text, 6:30, Yomam pashyati sarvacha, sarvam cha mai pashyati. This is actually similar to the description of the Mahabhagavat given in the 11th canto, that he sees Krishna everywhere. Everything is within Krishna, and he sees Krishna within everything. Yomam pashyati sarvacha, sarvam cha mai pashyati, tasyaham na pranashyami, sachame na pranashyati. And to such a person, to such a perfect yogi, and of course we know a perfect yogi is actually the devotee is the perfect yogi. And to the great devotee, the Mahabhagavat, tasyaham na pranashyati, Krishna is never lost to that person, and that person is never lost to Krishna. But the neophyte, again, the Bhakta Prakrita, the materialistic devotee, he looks at the deity and he sees Krishna, he turns his head away and, oh, Krishna's lost. But when you have some knowledge, when you have some advancement, then Krishna is never lost. And so this is the path of devotional services. In one way of looking at it is this, to learn and train ourselves and to become purified and have the understanding and the love to see Krishna everywhere, because it's not based just on philosophy. It's also based on loving Krishna. Just like I've told this story so many times. Prabhupada was on a morning walk and a devotee asked in maybe a speculative way or trying to understand, what does it mean to see Krishna everywhere? Like if I look at that brick wall, do I not see the wall? I see Krishna, or is Krishna standing on the wall? Or do I see a Krishna on every brick? Or trying to understand like that. And Prabhupada explained, it's just like when the mother sees the shoe of her child, she sees the child. So this is I love this explanation from Srila Prabhupada. It's simple, but it's so deep. When the mother sees the shoe of the child, she sees the child. Now, why is that? 2 reasons. She understands that the shoe belongs to her child. So there's a connection between the shoe and the child. But that's not enough. Because she loves the child, when she sees the shoe, she'll automatically see her child. If she loves a child, but doesn't have that understanding that the shoe belongs to the child, she'll say, oh, it's just a shoe. Or if someone knows, oh yeah, that's the kid's shoe, but doesn't love the child, that person won't see the child. But those two combined allows you to see the child. And therefore, this is the understanding, the philosophical understanding, the purification of heart, and ultimately the love of Krishna, which allows us to see Krishna everywhere. When we see the deity, we directly see Radha and Krishna. When we look at the world all around us, we see in one sense, the Virat Rupa, we see Krishna and Krishna. There's nothing but Krishna and Krishna's energy. So this is the goal that we're working towards. And in one sense, we've heard how this understanding of the Virat Rupa, the universal form, it's for demons, it's for atheists, it's for neophytes. But I think it's also something that we can very much utilize, very much profit from in our life. How beautiful is it for a devotee to go somewhere and see a mountain and understand, yes, this is Krishna's body, and see the river. This is a manifestation of Krishna's body. This is a beautiful meditation to see the clouds in the sky and understanding it's not exactly the same as the amazing and frightening and somewhat horrific universal form on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but the devotee can utilize this concept of the Virat Rupa, I think, to great advantage, because I'm not on the stage of Mahabhagavat, seeing Krishna everywhere, only seeing Krishna everywhere I look. I have neither the knowledge nor the devotion of the mother seeing the child when she sees the shoe. But if I can remind it that, oh, all these material elements are Krishna's energy, understanding this is Krishna's energy and seeing the wonderful material manifestations of this world, that this is the body of Krishna, this can be a very useful meditation. And as devotees, we don't have to be convinced that Krishna is a person. We don't have to be convinced that he has a transcendental body, Satchidananda Vigraha. We don't need to be convinced of that, but we may not still be yet beyond the stage of seeing Krishna everywhere. So this kind of meditation can be useful. And also it's good because we don't pick and choose what parts of the Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita we read or study or appreciate. Just like so much of the Bhagavad Gita, the whole 6 chapters discussing yoga system, and a large part of the 3rd canto is discussing Sankhya Yoga, and Karma Yoga is discussed in Bhagavad Gita, all these things. And we don't skip over that. Prabhupada one time said that we appreciate, like, not exact words, but he said, we appreciate Krishna's kissing and Krishna's killing both. Some people they're only interested in Krishna's kissing. They want to hear Vrindavan Leela, whatever. But we also want to hear Bhagavad Gita. We also want to hear his killing the demons. We appreciate all of these things. And when he's discussing philosophy, we're hearing Krishna discuss Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, all these things. Here we're hearing Shukadev Goswami discuss Ashtanga Yoga. And we see it especially because we're fortunate to have Srila Prabhupada's presentation of these books. He analyzes all of them with the goal and the understanding of pure devotional service. That's why we read Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we don't become bewildered when we read about the yoga system, or when we read about karma yoga, or these different things, or the universal form, for that matter. In the 11th chapter, we don't become bewildered because we understand, and Prabhupada explains it, that it's all understood in the light of devotional service. And that's what Shukadev Goswami is doing with this Ashtanga Yoga explanation. So we don't pick and choose, we understand all of it and appreciate all of it, and all of it can help us. We're not karma yogis, but when we hear from the Bhagavad Gita how real karma yoga means to offer everything to Krishna, and yagyartat karmano nyacha loko yam karma bandhana, how if we're not serving Krishna, that we're becoming subject to material bondage, and if we offer everything in sacrifice to Krishna, then we'll become purified. This is valuable for every devotee. not just the so-called lowly karma yogis, but to us as well. So we understand all of this with a little intelligence to understand it, a little guidance from superiors, especially Prabhupada and other senior devotees or learned devotees to explain to us. And we could understand this about Ashtanga Yoga, about Sankhya Yoga, about Karma Yoga, all these different things as applied to devotional service. And again, for the 10th time, this is what Shukadeva Goswami is doing here. He's not teaching Parikshit Maharaj how to be a yogi. He's explaining the process of devotional service, beginning through the paradigm of yoga, focusing on Krishna as present within this world. And we'll see as the chapters go on how this conception develops and advances and explains more and more about Krishna. Because again, this is the first step in God realization. Hare Krishna. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for your kind attention. If there's any questions or comments or discussion, yes, Prabhu.
Thank you very much. You were mentioning about the mother and the child and the shoe. Have to understand the connection, but that's not nothing. That's love. So, and very much. So, how do we get this love?
Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhyakabunoi Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Korye Udoi. Krishna Prema is actually already present within our heart in some potential form by our very nature, because we're part and parcel of Krishna, or Krishna's child, you could say, or Krishna's creation. So it's natural and constitutional for us to love Krishna. It's not introducing something new, but Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Korye Udoi. Shravanadi, taking up the process of devotional service, beginning with hearing. Shravanadi means hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, becoming a friend, prayers, all the different things we do, uncovers that and allows that thing which is already there, but not manifest because we've been conditioned for so long. Korye Udoi, it manifests, it rises like the sun rising. The sun rising in the morning is not a new creation out of nothing. The sun is already there, but it's becoming visible. So the process of devotional service, it's expected, we understand that will bring about that awakening of love of Godhead. That's what sadhana is for. That's the potentiality of sadhana, to awaken that love. So basically doing the things that Srila Prabhupada gave us will awaken that. The morning program and regulative principles and chanting japa and chanting kirtan and all the activities of devotional service will awaken that. That's the short answer. And also not doing it mechanically, but doing it with the understanding of what the goal is. Just like I always also like when little Krishna was explaining at the time of the Indra Yagya, was explaining to his father, trying to convince him not to do it. And he asked him, what are you doing and what's the goal of it? And he told Nanda Maharaj that if someone performs an activity without understanding the goal, then they can't be expected to get the full realization of that goal without understanding it. So we read these books, we understand what the goal is, and then when we perform the activities of devotional service, live the life of devotional service, then it's expected gradually, according to our practice and our sincerity and all the different things that go into it, that the love of Krishna will awaken within our hearts. Is that okay? Anything else? Comment, discussion? Yes, Prabhu.
The scale that you gave of the ping pong ball in relationship to and where we would be in that ping pong ball is just a little speck. How do we get past the idea that maybe we don't get past this idea, but I basically have no value, insignificant. No matter what I do, I cut the grass or I don't cut the grass. you know, I have a degree, I don't have a degree, I make money, I don't have, none of this changes. Like the world, the universe, everything. And it's only really important to me, and maybe the few people that are around me. But everything, but in the ultimate scheme of things, this is only one lifetime. It's completely insignificant.
So, yeah, in one sense, that's completely true. But that understanding doesn't or isn't supposed to give us like a sense of hopelessness or emptiness or some kind of existential dread that nothing means anything. So I'll drive off a cliff because everything is preposterous. Was it Camus, I think, who said that the only question is whether or not to kill yourself. So that's not the conclusion of that idea. The conclusion is, and it's not like, you know, that sentiment definitely can become like a pathology. We talk about low self-esteem. People are very much worried about low self-esteem. So in one sense, low self-esteem is simply reality, that we're insignificant, we're tiny, but it shouldn't be pathological. It shouldn't be a cause of despair. It could be a source of ecstasy that I'm so insignificant and I'm nothing. And in the scheme of things, what do I do? Does it even make a difference? But I'm part and parcel of Krishna. And Krishna, Krishna is directly and indirectly aware of everything and everyone within the entire creation. As insignificant as I am, Krishna sees me and knows me, and I have an individual relationship with him that, as insignificant as I am, actually has value. It has value to me, and it has value to Krishna, because Krishna goes to such lengths to bring these insignificant nothing people who nothing they do makes a difference. But what effort does he go to bring them back into the fold of devotional service? So like many things, it's a balancing act, that we want to be humble, but we don't want to be so humble that we have the so-called low self-esteem, that we lose all our enthusiasm for devotional service or for life in general. But we don't want to think, oh, I'm so great, I'm so amazing, that everything I do is consequential and the whole world is running on my... So like everything, it takes a little bit of balance, a little philosophical understanding, a little affection for Krishna, a little association with friends and devotees to get like a balanced understanding of that. But in one sense, it's true that what are we? We're insignificant. And not only this little space and all the layers, but that's one universe. And there's a gazillion others of those. So you can't even conceive of the insignificance. But at the same time, you can't conceive of the significance that Krishna takes in a particular relationship with each and every single jiva. So it's a balance. It's a balancing act. It's a sort of mixed, understanding. And it's related, not related, but that famous story about Prabhupada talking to Tamal Krishna Maharaj. Everyone knows that. It's so amazing that Prabhupada, I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. I think he was either chanting or looking at the first canto of the Bhagavatam with the Mahavishnu lying on the ocean and all the universes coming up. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj came and he said, this is amazing that there's Mahavishnu, he's so big. And from the pores of his body, these gigantic universes are coming, and these universes are so huge. And there's unlimited of these universes. And within this one particular universe, there's so many suns and stars and planets. And amongst all of them, there's one planet Earth. And within that one planet Earth, there's this one place, I don't know where it was, California, Los Angeles, or there's one country, America. thinking it's so big. But within this America, there's this one state and this one city, Los Angeles. And within this Los Angeles, there's this one building. And within this one building, out of this whole planet and universes and Mahavishnu, there's one Tamal Krishna. And he's thinking that he's a very important person. So I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact words of it, but so it's nice. We want to appreciate our smallness, and that's a kind of ecstasy also. And we also appreciate our significance in relation to Krishna. That's another kind of ecstasy. And we see great devotees who are able to amalgamate those, that humility, such humility, intense humility. But at the same time, they were so amazing, powerful persons because of their realization of their relationship with Krishna. Okay, anything else?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you so much for getting across to always do something. In the aspect of dharana, of fixing one's mind for the purpose of seeing Krishna, not just seeing Krishna, but seeing Krishna everywhere. You know, when we look in the world, we see so many sections, so many divisions, so many things that relate to fractioning, even as it relates to spirituality or God. Not just
Not sure what happened. Maybe the battery ran out, or looks like we have lost them. But I think we are at the end of the class. So we'll just wait for a few minutes and then end class here. I hope all of you enjoyed it, and we will meet again tomorrow morning at 7:50. Hare Krishna.